Hey guys, it's Serene, and today I'm going to be talking to you about something fun for Halloween. That's right, you can read, and it's witches. Wow. So in history, witches were people who practiced witchcraft. Duh, that's kind of a given. Anyway, but they were using magic spells and calling on various spirits for help. A lot of witches were considered evil or working for the devil, mainly because, they would call on spirits that weren't Jesus. And, yeah. Surprisingly, though, many witches were just women who were, really good healers and just knew, a lot of natural, herbal things. At first, at least early witches. So they knew a lot of, herbal remedies and stuff. And they just kind of tied the whole calling spirits into it. And it was they were considered pagans kind of thing. So historians don't really know when witches first came around. They've kind of been in all cultures kind of thing. But the first written text about them was in the Bible. And there was a medium of Endor that Saul went to. This was in 1 Samuel chapter 28. And Saul went to her and had her, basically call up Samuel from the dead. And Samuel prophesied to Saul and was like, why did you call me up, first of all? And then, he told him that basically Saul and his sons were going to die the next day in battle. And then they did. But a lot of the Old Testament, especially the Bible, it cautions against using, divination and using witches to contact the dead and using spells. It's not really for that, They're kind of against witches, which isn't really a surprise if you know anything about, any witch trials ever. But assuming you don't, let's just continue on, I guess. So, in the mid-1400s, all of Europe basically freaked out about witches. They all the entire public had a conniption altogether. And they just started accusing people left and right. And, yeah, it wasn't good. It was bad. It was mainly women who were accused, not really men so much. I mean, there were some men accused of being werewolves and stuff, but not really witches. That was more women. Witch hunts were very common. People liked to go and try and figure out who was a witch. And it wasn't good. Because if you were accused of being a witch, usually you didn't get out of it. There was nothing you could do. You were just accused of being a witch. You were put on trial. They tortured you. And because they tortured you so badly, in medieval times, you just confessed to being a witch just because the pain got too much over time. So once you confessed, then they either burned you at the stake or hung you. And, it was just, you didn't want to be you didn't want to be accused of being a witch, because it was very bad and you would have died, basically. Yeah. So they mainly targeted single women, widows, or any kind of person that didn't fit the societal norm and was weird. They went after the weirdos and they killed them for being weird, is basically what happened. Between 1500 and 1660 in Europe, there was an estimated 80,000 people killed, for being witches, which is insane. That's a little over 100 years and 80,000 people. I can't comprehend that many people being killed. It's crazy. Germany actually had the highest execution rate of witches, and Ireland had the lowest. Yeah. So if you haven't heard of the Malleus Maleficarum, I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not 100% sure, so my bad. But basically, it was a book written in 1486. So pretty modern. Just kidding. Basically, and it was saying how to identify, hunt, and execute witches properly. So, yeah, that's fun. Oh my gosh. Can you not? I'm not doing anything. Alright, I'll be right back, guys. So, just for clarity, because I realize how bad that looks, that car didn't honk at me. That just happened to happen. Like, you know what I mean? This isn't making sense. I'm going to continue. So, in America, in Windsor, Connecticut, in 1646, Alice Young was the first to be executed for witchcraft. Fun. Yeah. Witch hunting had pretty much died down at this point in Europe, by the way, but it just began in America, because in 1692 in Salem, Massachusetts, the Salem witch trials began. This started with, if you don't know, then this might be a little surprising to you, but this started with 9-year-old Elizabeth Parris, I don't know which one it is because there's 2 R's, but I'm going to call her Parris, and 11-year-old Abigail Williams. That's right. The witch trials started with people that were under the age of 12, 2 children. And basically they had fits and contortions and uncontrolled screaming and all this stuff, and they started accusing people of being witches. And people just believed them. Let me repeat, a 9-year-old and an 11-year-old. I don't understand. You know, like, they're children. They were children. And they just, whatever. It was believed that there was fungus, like, in the water, I don't remember what it was called, but it was a certain type of fungus that caused, like, screaming and pain and spasms and delusions. So they were literally going crazy, and they were on shrooms. And people just believed that they were witches. But whatever. They're not them, but people they accused were witches. But the first 3 accused were Sarah Good, Sarah Osborne, and Tituba. And Tituba was a slave owned by Parris's father. Yeah. So this 9-year-old accuses one of her slaves. Like, it's terrible. It's terrible. Bridget Bishop was the first accused witch from them to be put to death. And because of, like, these were the 2 girls that started it, but they actually had a group that came together, and they, like, maybe 5 or 6 people that were all young girls, by the way, all under the age of 15. And they had 150 people accused and 18 put to death. And not just women, but there were 6 men that were accused and put to death. So, it's crazy. It's crazy that a group of children caused this much pain. Like, they had 18 people killed. I don't know how else to say that if you don't understand it at this point, but it's just crazy. That people, heard children. That people heard children that said that there were witches that were tormenting them. And they're like, oh yeah, that's definitely what it is. You're right. Let's kill the witches. And finally, in Virginia, I'm moving on because I don't want to dwell on this anymore, but Grace Sherwood, this is the most, famous Virginia witch, by the way. Her neighbors claimed that she killed their pigs and had hexed their cotton so that it wouldn't grow or whatever. So in 1706, she was brought to trial, and they came to this really fun idea that, we'll just tie her up and throw her underwater. And if she sinks, she's innocent. And, if she drowns, then that was on us, But if she floats, she's guilty. So she had no way where she would have come out of this alive. It was just a lose-lose situation for her. And I don't know how they got that idea that would be a way to find witches, but they just wanted her dead, I guess. But anyway, she ended up floating, and while they didn't kill her, she spent 8 years in prison. So, yeah, that's really all the knowledge I have on witches today. So, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. And, yeah. I know I said last video that I had a special video coming out next, but I'm going to have to wait until after Halloween because I have all these Halloween specials and stuff. So I'm going to wait until after October and then I'll post that video. But just so you know, I'm working on it and it's great. It's amazing. It's probably going to be, I love it. Anyway, yeah, I'll see you guys later. Maybe not. We'll see, I guess. But, yeah, see ya.